welcome back to another episode of the Hilo Stitch podcast. Today I have not one, not two, but three finished objects to share with you. Certainly magic, some sort of spirits must be in the air for me to have accomplished this magical feat here during the Halloween season. I also have a couple of whips to share and maybe some new yarn. So if that sounds like it's something you would be interested in, I hope you will stick around. All right, friends, it is true. I have actually finished multiple projects. I'm as confused as you are, but it turns out if instead of leaving your stuff sitting in a basket and just kind of staring at it occasionally, if you actually knit on it, it gets done. So I have finished two sweaters that I have shown on this podcast many times, and then a new project that I cast on and cast off within a week. All right, so the first one I'm going to show you is what I am wearing. I just finished this morning. I have not blocked it. I did put a little steam on it to just sort of loosen it up a little bit, even it out so I could show it to you guys. And then I'm going to wet block it immediately when I'm done recording because I'd like to think to wear it tomorrow. So this is, I'm going to grab a little bit here. This is my Amelie cardigan, which is a pattern by Mochi Knits. It has some really lovely details, like these braids around the cuff. It also has nice detail along the shoulder here. It has a vertical button band that is picked up and worked this direction. You will notice it does not have buttonholes at this point. So the pattern calls for you to just sort of create some openings and then blanket stitch around the buttonholes. I don't actually think I would wear this buttoned. So I think what I'm going to do is to put one buttonhole right here at the collar for sort of some kind of statement button where I might button it up there and then just leave the rest. So the button bands I think will open up nicely on blocking. They look a little mushed right now, but they're very neat and tidy. And then the braid is repeated here around the hem and the collar. Somehow, again, I've forgotten that I purchased a iPhone compatible microphone so that the sound maybe would improve. And I still forgot to next time maybe. Anyway, so as I said, I just finished this morning. I'm going to be blocking it. It is quite warm. It is, let's see, it is 63 degrees right now outside. I don't know what the temperature is inside, but my windows are open. Maybe I will just pop the fan on. And this is quite warm. So this is knit with 3 strands of lace weight yarn. So I worked my sweater with 2 strands of a lace weight baby alpaca from Knit Picks, whatever their lace weight baby alpaca is called, and 1 strand of, I don't remember this, Fiber Space Cumulus, which is an not a mohair, a Surrey silk, and it is lovely. So the colors don't exactly match, so I get some nice but relatively subtle marling in here. I get a little bit of halo from all of the alpaca, but this is nice and drapey and airy. But you also have, particularly these braids, really kind of pull things together and give this a little bit more structure. So, as I said, I haven't blocked this. I think it will certainly open up a bit more. Things will look a little bit tidier. But as it is already worked at a fairly loose gauge, I'm not expecting too much change in the drape. I think the alpaca in it will fluff up a little bit, fill in some of that airiness, but then also just the act of blocking will also open it up more. So I think it'll be kind of a even out in the end. And then the drape and fabric will not change too much on blocking, but I guess we will see. So I have been working on this for like a year and a half. It is a lovely pattern. The biggest thing was that it was just a lot of stockinette, and it got, you know, I had lots of, oh, shiny, something else, something that's going to be a little bit busier. You also have 3 strands of lace weight worked on relatively large needles. So I believe I worked this on a US 9. I did go down instead of up for the sleeves because while they're designed to be oversized, I didn't want them to be too oversized. Also, I did not have a 16-inch US 9 needle, but I did have an 8. So I made the executive decision to go down, and it looks fine even before blocking. So as I said, lovely pattern, but a lot of stockinette with some really nice details sort of at the end, but you got to get through a lot of stockinette first. So I ended up just kind of getting distracted. There was certainly nothing wrong with the pattern, and now I'm excited to have it done and maybe wear it tomorrow as we are going out to dinner for our anniversary. So that is FO number 1. That is the Amelie cardigan by Mochi Knits. Now, I apologize for my hair. This is what my hair looks like when I air dry it and then don't style it. And I didn't feel like it because, as I said, we're going out to dinner tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to style my hair tomorrow. And I just didn't feel like dealing with it today, so it looks a little chaotic. Speaking of anniversary, this next project is one I finished in a week. So if you watch my previous video about holding yarn double, and if that's something that has confused you or you just not understood, definitely check that out. I showed you that I was working on a hat for my husband for our anniversary, which was on the 22nd, and I finished it in a week. So this is I'll put it on just to cover up my terrible hair. It's obviously a little big because I made it for my husband. This is the Basset hat. This is a pattern by, I don't remember the designer's name, and I will put it right here. And so I knit this with Durham Natura Gilead in the Sage colorway, held double with a silk Surrey from Amano Yarns, their Uma base. I don't think they have color names. I think they have color numbers, and I don't know what it is, but I worked it with these 2 held together, and it was 1 strand of this and 2 of this. I bought this when we were in Peru, I think. So you can get Amano yarns here, but because it's Peruvian yarn, it's a lot cheaper if you buy it in Peru. So I bought a few balls of this with no real plan for it. It turned out it worked really well for this, and I was really happy with the color combo. So, as I said, it is a little big on me. So this front flap I did actually tack down. I feel like maybe, so this is knit from the top down. You start with kind of a square, you pick up all around, you work your ear flaps, and then you pick up all the way around the hat, work in stockinette, and what the pattern says is to fold it over and sew it to the right side of the hat. There was no way in hell I was going to do that. I hate that kind of seaming. So what I did instead was to pick up all around the hat, work the stockinette, and then do a 3 needle bind off, which was I left all my stitches live. I went in, picked up a stitch from the hat, worked 1 stitch from the edge with 1 stitch picked up from the hat as a knit 2 together, did it again, and then bound off. So it creates the same kind of almost braid look here, which you will see in the pattern. So we go all the way around here. You can see it looks a little bit like a braid, but did not require any sewing, which I find, I'm sure it works for a lot of people, but for me, it just never looks right to me. So I did it that way. Maybe if you sew that edge down, then you would do it in such a way that the hat would stay flipped up. But since I did it differently, the flap kept just falling down. So I just tacked it. You can see right there, tacked it down so it stays up. This is very thick, very warm. It is just a 1x1 ribbing. There are two options for the, are you going to behave? If you misbehave again, I want to kick you out. There are two options for sort of the under chin closure, either I-cords or like a little flap that you button. I went for the I-cords, but again, I believe the pattern said to knit either in or out, ma'am. To knit the I-cords and then sew them on, and I just picked up on the inside and then right here and then worked my I-cords. It seems a little sturdier. I don't have anything against sewing, but I'm not a fan of hand sewing, and I just generally find that if you have the opportunity to pick up stitches, bind all stitches together, knit stitches together, it's just a little sturdier than sewing things with yarn. So I finished this, as I said, in a week, gave it to my husband for our anniversary. It was our 13th anniversary, which the traditional gift is lace, but the modern, bad girl, modern gift is fur and textiles. So not only does this kind of look like one of those like trapper hats, which I think is the idea, but it is, you know, textile as well. So this was a really quick knit. The pattern definitely seems to have been translated from, I am not sure what language. There were a few things in there that I thought could probably have been clearer if maybe a beginner was trying to use this pattern, but it was fine for me. There's no problems. Lovely, lovely pattern. I may have to knit this again. I think this would be really cute for my kids as well. So it does call for it calls for a worsted weight yarn, I believe, held with 2 strands of a lace weight yarn, except for the edging, which is done with just 1 and 1. So you could probably maybe go for a bulky weight and skip the extra strands. But I do think this ends up looking really nice. And I happen to have, you know, enough of the lace weight already in my stash. These are both for stash, so an actual stash project. So if you just have like a couple of balls of the lace weight, not enough for a sweater, this might be a good choice. I'm already thinking about maybe doing a gift knit pattern idea video next month. I think this might have to go on there. I really do think I'm gonna make this for the kids as well. It'd be really cute. So Basset hat, very quick, 1 week, even while working on some other projects and such. So excellent, very toasty warm hat for winter. All right, and the last project I finished is my aisle pullover. So this has been washed and blocked. I have not worn this yet, other than for photos, and it is very, very warm. So this is knit with the Fiber Company and Make Erin, which is a 50-50 wool alpaca. So that is a very warm blend. It is a worsted weight yarn. And when I did put this on, hello. She has this toy. I'll show you. She has this toy. This came with her when my sister gave her up for adoption to me. And she loves it. And so she'll just like pick it up and find it in the house and like drag it around. But like, I don't know what she brings it here and I'm like, oh, you want to play with this? And I start waving it around. No, she's like, why are you touching my toy? What are you doing? She doesn't want me to do that. She just wants to show me her toy. Anyway. And then she makes cute little noises. I don't know if you can hear them. So I have not worn this except for the photos, and it was very, very warm. I finished this maybe about a week and a half ago. It is the Aisle Pullover by Brianna Mason. I have been working on this for a year. So I casted, this was my birthday cast on last year, and I finished it the day before my birthday this year. Just 1 year in the making. It was, you have to keep track of the ribbing pattern, especially on the sleeves, because you're increasing and decreasing in the ribbing to create this sort of straight column down the sides of the sleeves, which makes the front and back of the sleeve take this diagonal shape. So you've got to keep track of that. You've got to keep track of your increases in the diagonals for the raglan. Other than that, it is just stockinette. Very straightforward. It has these nice long cuffs specifically for folding over. And I love that. Obviously you could, if you wanted to, you could just make shorter cuffs, but I love having that folded over, and they're just nice and stretchy. So they're not, it's not constrictive at all. The other nice thing about folding it over is that I personally like the wrong side of my 1x1 ribbing better. And so since I'm folding it over, that's what's going to be showing. So that's really nice too. I love the color of this. I think it's going to work with a lot of stuff in my wardrobe. It did block out nicely. So as I was working on it, I was worried the body looked like it was pulling in too much, but it really does block out, especially with that split hem. And Pollyanna has now been removed from the premises. She is cute, but she is a troublemaker. So overall, very happy with this. Probably will not have a chance to wear this for at least another month, if not longer, which would be true of any worsted weight sweater, but especially with the wool alpaca blend, this is just a very warm sweater. And with the high collar, it's nice and soft. I didn't have any issues having the collar around my neck when I put it on for photos. I will pop a photo in here just so you can see what it looks like. It was very comfortable. I think it's going to be lovely for when the weather does cool down, but this is not a fall sweater. This is definitely a winter sweater. Again, that is the Isle Pullover by Brianna Mason. And that is my third finished object for this episode. Now, obviously, since I finished some stuff, I had to cast on some new stuff, even though I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whips already around here. So I don't know what to tell you about that. The first is, it is, did I show this in the last podcast? I can't remember. It is Socktober, so I did cast on a pair of socks. So this yarn is from Rising Tide Fiber Company. The colorway is called Spruce It Up. You can see it's just kind of a sprucey green tweed. And the pattern that I am using, what happened? I'm gonna guess Pollyanna. The pattern that I'm using for this is called the Ribbit Socks. Obviously, I'll have links to everything in the description box. But at this point, it is just kind of this, what's this called? Like faux rib or garter rib or whatever you might, come on, okay, whatever you might call this stitch pattern. It's nothing fancy, but it has some unique heel and gusset shaping that makes some interesting patterning when you get to that part. So that's really sort of my vibe now for socks. Like I used to knit very more intricate socks. Now I'm usually doing either relatively plain socks or socks that have just like one interesting element, like something at the heel. Because I want something that's really portable and I can just pull out and work on without having to fiddle with the pattern for the most part. So if it's just the heel, or it's an easily memorized stitch pattern for the leg or something like that, I can occasionally consult the pattern, but I don't need it with me at all times. That's usually where I'm going with socks. So I did cast on one new pair of socks for Socktober. I also cast on something not for me. I cast on a stick season sweater for my husband. I have never knit him a sweater. One, because he's 6'3". 2, because he doesn't really, or at least in the past, he has not really worn sweaters. He mostly wore t-shirts forever. Rain, shine, winter, summer, didn't matter. As he's gotten older, that has changed a little bit. So I finally picked out a pattern for a sweater for him. So the stick season sweater, it's not written for men. I believe it's written for women, but she gives you some guidance on making some adjustments, and in terms of like the stitch pattern and design, it's very neutral. So as you can see, I've not made a whole lot of progress. This is the yarn I am using. This is from Valley Yarns. showed this a couple of episodes back, I think. I don't know what it's called. Okay, this is their Northampton base, which is just 100% wool. Stop it. Nothing fancy, but you know, if you have to make a sweater for somebody who's 6'3", you need a fair bit of yarn and you don't want to spend a whole ton of money on it. So this has been fine to work with so far. As I said, it's nothing fancy. It is relatively soft, even though as far as I know, it is not a merino, just says 100% wool. Does it? Yeah, just 100% wool, could be anything. But very nice to work with so far. This is a, will you stop looking for trouble? This is a very simple stitch pattern to memorize. The only thing you really have to worry about here is working these increases into the pattern, but that's relatively straightforward. Just takes a little bit of thought when you get to, you know, the beginning and end of each row. So I have not made much progress on that, but it has been started. Could that be a Christmas present? I don't know. Well, let's be honest, it took me well over a year to finish those other 2 sweaters, so who knows. And then I also needed, obviously, to do a new birthday cast on. So this is a pattern that, you know, when I was doing my, making my kind of fall and winter mood board, I noticed that I had actually pinned this pattern like multiple times, like it was different pictures, but they were all the same pattern. So I was like, well, clearly I really like this pattern. So this is, gotcha. Here she is. Look how troublesome she is. She's so troublesome. Say hi. I don't want to. I know. Well, stop causing trouble. You just said stop causing trouble. Okay. She doesn't like picking up. This is the Reading cardigan, which is a pattern by Brooklyn Tweed. I said Reading, could be Reading. I don't know. So I'll just show you like a couple of the photos that are here in the pattern. I never know if it's focusing. This is basically what it looks like. It is a cardigan knit in a shaker rib with some nice details, you know, at the collar, at the raglan lines, and very much a around the house cozy winter sweater. So there are a couple of options here. I didn't print out every single page, so it might not be here, but there's like cropped, traditional, and then there's like shorter, extra long sleeves or something like that. But it's all, you know, basically the same, you know. I mean, I think we can all figure out how to make something longer or shorter. As optional buttonholes, I don't think I would do that on this. I don't think it needs buttons. I might get like a pin or something to pin it closed as needed. So you can see in this photo, it's showing some buttons, but I just don't think it's necessary really. So that was my birthday cast on, and it is knit in shaker rib. And what is happening here? And so this first part is a little fiddly. So what this is actually the collar. So it is worked from the center to one end, and then you pick up at the other end and you work some short rows. So you can see it's there, a little bit wider kind of in the middle there. Which is, so it's going to be lower like at the back neck. And then you fold it along this part here, and that's going to be like the top edge of your collar. And then it's going to sort of wrap around. I mean, this is the front of my neck, but it's going to wrap around the back of your neck. So I've done that part, and the next step is I'm going to pick up all around and start doing the raglan shaping. Because it is shaker rib, it is very slow. When you are working lengthwise, it is slow growing because you're basically working each stitch twice. So shaker rib is like a half brioche kind of deal. And it looks lovely. I think, and I think will look even nicer when it's blocked. Well, frankly, the opposite side also looks very nice, but it is a little bit slow going. So the yarn I'm using for this is Wool Dreamers Moda, and I had originally bought this for some design concept I have somewhere around here that just I kind of lost interest in I wanted like a big chunky fisherman's rib sweater, but it just got too monotonous working on it. And fisherman's rib, like, you know, like brioche and shaker rib, it grows slowly because you are working, you know, even though it's a heavy yarn, you're working every stitch twice. And I lost interest in it, but I figured I could repurpose the yarn for this. I really hope I have enough of it. I've got plenty, but plenty is not like an answer. I don't know if it's actually enough. I probably should have sat and done the math, but I can always make adjustments to the sleeve length and the body. But since this is all I've done, that is a long way away. But it has been started, and maybe it'll be done next year for next year's birthday. All right, I have plenty of other WIPs, but I'm pretty sure those are all the ones that I have actively been working on since the last episode. Actually, there was one more that I was working on, but it's actually crochet. So I have made some progress on my Stevie bum bag. So I obviously crocheted all of the squares, and then I crocheted them together in the correct shape to make this sort of what we used to call a fanny pack kind of shape. However, when it came time to seam them up, you know, I did two different kinds of squares. I did one that started with purple in the middle and the other one pink, and I couldn't remember which one I wanted for the front, and I went with purple. But it turns out, looking at my little flat crochet, I actually intended for the pink to go in front, because this will fold over, and the color is supposed to match. So I could either undo them all and re-sew them, or I could just recrochet this tiny little piece, and that's probably what I'm going to do, but I just haven't done it. So once that is done, I do need to decide if I'm going to line this. So I did block all of my squares, but they still seem pretty dense, but there's also a fair bit of kind of like openness. So I may go ahead and line it. I've got plenty of fabric. I'm sure it would be relatively easy to do, but I haven't made that final decision yet. You know, on the other hand, it's extra work, and what am I going to be carrying in here that's going to fall through? You know, I don't know if I'm going to carry anything in here at all. I just thought it was really cute. I don't even know if I will keep it for myself. It's like a little crossbody bag. You know, I might put my wallet in here, my phone. Those are not going to fall through. So haven't really decided on the lining yet, and I need to recrochet this piece. Then after that, there's some straps to be crocheted and some hardware to hold it all together, which I have already bought. So yeah, I should really get moving on this. It is really cute, or I could give it as a gift, like to my sister or something. So I don't know, we'll see. Maybe by the next episode I'll have that done. But yeah, that was the last WIP that I've actively been working on to show you. Right, in terms of some design work, in case you missed it, I did release earlier this month the Amelie t-shirt pattern. So this is a fingering weight. In this case, the yarn I used is alpaca silk linen, I believe. Fingering weight t-shirt, nice for mid-season. We went to Shenandoah last weekend, took the kids to Luray Caverns, and so the weather up there at night was cold, but during the day was really nice for this. So it was maybe in the upper 60s, low 70s, and this was a good choice for that. So you can see it has some nice lateral braid details along the back, shoulders, and along the hem. I don't know if it's focusing or not. I have absolutely no idea. There we go. And along the hem, and the same along the little baby sleeves. So this has been released. It is available on Ravelry and in my Pay Hip shop as well. Really cute for, as I said, this time of year, mid-season, but also to get started on now for the spring. You know, you get the nice combination of a short sleeve, comfortable, breezy t-shirt with a little bit of alpaca to keep you warm. And the other major design project I've been working on, I've kind of put on hold. And I may have mentioned this before. So here is how this project looks now, which is an all-over cabled pullover with bits of my hair on it. All over cabled pullover that I love, but is so much work. And I kind of put it on hold because since design is not really my job anymore, it's just kind of like a hobby. It's a lot of work to create a pattern, and there is some investment in the yarn and the tech editing and things like that. For something relatively simple like the t-shirt, okay, but this, in order to release this pattern in 10 sizes with all of these cables, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of charting, it's a lot of grading, it's just a lot. So I wanted to put it on hold and kind of make a decision about whether I was going to continue working on it as a project just for me that I happen to like, because I really do. I just love the yarn, I love the cables, or if I was going to turn it into a pattern. I'm still not decided on that, but I think at the very least, I'm not rushing. So I'm just going to take my time to finish this, take my time to get the pattern together. Maybe if I decide, you know, that I want to do a pattern, go slow with that. Make sure I've got a long testing period, and then maybe actually release this next August for next fall. Maybe late July, early August for kind of a fall, you know, kickoff. You start in the late summer, and then by the time fall weather actually arrives, you have a new sweater. So if I decide to continue with this as a pattern, that is where that is going to go. For now, I will just be, you know, slowly working on this. It is, even though I basically have the pattern memorized, I don't have to consult the charts except a little bit for this, this center one in the back. I keep having to check the chart just like for a couple of rows that I just cannot get in my brain. The rest of it, I've got it. I know what I'm doing. I've got it memorized. I don't have to check, but even so, it is slow going. These are a lot. This is all over cables. The only part that is not cabled are these, you know, little bits on the side. And some of the cables are very simple, and others are more intricate, and it's just slow. So yeah, if it sees the light of day as a pattern, it will not be until next fall. That will give me, you know, time to actually finish the sweater at a reasonable pace, to consider how much work is going to have to go into charting. Am I going to have to make charts for, you know, each cable section, like the left front, right front, back for every single size? Or is it going to be relatively easy to you know, maybe make a chart that's, you know, size X, start at this column, size whatever, start at this column, and still have everything, you know, relatively streamlined in a single chart? I don't know. And I probably won't know until I just sit down, do more of the grading to get all the stitch counts, and then figure that out. So that is an ongoing process, and for now, I'm just gonna knit the sweater because I just love it. And then the other thing I have just barely started is that I got some of this lovely yarn from Knit Picks. This is their Yakish base. It is a sport weight yarn, 55% baby alpaca, 35% superwash merino, 10% yak. So I got a bunch of that from them for a new design. Let's see if I can find the sketch to show you guys. And I just started swatching. So it does not look like much so far. This is the sport weight yarn on a US 5 needle. Obviously it has not been blocked. So far I'm liking the fabric. So depending on how it looks after blocking, I will probably stick with this size and then start doing some simple grading and get enough information for me to start my sample. It's a little wrinkled thanks to that cat. I'm telling you, she's so cute. But here's what it looks like. So these would be like the shoulder detail, but instead you're seeing a lot of sweaters. It's on the back. It's going to be on the front with some short rows used to shape the neck. There's going to be some cable detailing along those lines, and then the rest is going to be basically stockinette. So once you get past the yoke, it's going to be all worked in the round with some slightly belled sleeves. And then just, so this is the back, this is the front. Drop shoulder and a basic stockinette body. So really all like the interesting stuff is going to be up here. It is worked from the top down. Collar is picked up afterward. And so you get all of that interesting stuff going, and then you get some smooth sailing stockinette toward the end. So this will be coming at some point. So that's being done in collaboration with Knit Picks Independent Designer Program. So they are providing the yarn support. And as I said, it's relatively straightforward. I'm thinking of this for, when is it? Is it still October, I think? October's flying by. I'm thinking of this for maybe like late January, February. I think it'll be extra cozy. You've got alpaca, you've got wool, you've got yak. That's all gonna make a very cozy fabric, but a relatively lightweight because it's a sport weight yarn. So that's coming at some point. All right, I have just a teeny bit of yarn to show you that I got recently for my birthday. For myself. So the first is that I ordered a bunch of the comfy yarn from Knit Picks for a new crochet project. So I bought this specifically for the Magnolia tote bag. I'm gonna put so this is another granny square project. As you can see, I was really going back and forth about what colors I wanted, but this is ultimately what I settled on. I think it's gonna be really cute. I didn't want, so the comfy is, I believe, yeah, it's mostly cotton, 75% Pima cotton, 25% acrylic. I didn't think wool for a tote bag. And they have a number of different kind of cotton yarns. But a lot of them just didn't have quite the color combos I wanted, and so ultimately this is what I settled on. I don't know if I've ever used the comfy worsted before. I'm not a big fan of acrylic yarn. I don't like it for garments, but I think, you know, in a bag, and especially since it's majority cotton, I think it'll be fine. So yeah, I may not have actually used this yarn before, but I really like the colors that I picked out. So if you have worked with a comfy before, I mean, it's a little late now since I've already bought it, but I would love to hear your thoughts, particularly for crochet and for kind of granny square projects. You know, if it's not a great yarn for clothing, that's fine. I'm not using it for clothing, and it definitely wouldn't, but I'm really happy with this color combo. So I needed to buy an extra skein of the, and I barely needed it too. Like if I could have found my swatch, I probably could have pulled it out and made it, but I needed to buy an extra skein of the baby alpaca lace weight to finish my Amelie cardigan, and I really didn't want to place an order for one skein of yarn, so I had to get some of the cotton yarn to go with it. I think it was on sale. They had a coupon. They had like a 25% off coupon for a weekend or something, so I got that. And then the other thing is, so my dad, I love him, but he's not the most creative present buyer. So he will either buy something off your Amazon wish list, or he will give you an Amazon gift card. So he gave me an Amazon gift card. They don't really sell yarn on Amazon. I did a whole video about this. They didn't have any yarn that I particularly wanted on Amazon, but we're always shopping on Amazon. So I just put my gift card in our like general family account for buying, you know, tissues and other things that families buy, and spent the money at Webb's and got some more yarn for me. So I recently translated a couple of patterns for Mochi Knits. The Roma vest, which I believe is just finished up testing. Maybe it's been released, I'm not sure. And then the Roma cardigan is currently in testing, which is basically the Roma vest with sleeves. And I loved the vest. The whole time I was working on the vest, I was like, this is so cute, but I just don't know if I would wear a vest. And then she released the cardigan, or designed the cardigan, and opened the test, and I did the translation for that, and I was like, okay, cardigan, definitely I could go for that. So I got some yarn that I think is going to work for it. This is Valley Yarns Westfield. It is 60% extra fine merino wool, 20% silk, 20% yak. It does not look super halo-y here, but looking at some of the uses of it on Ravelry, it looks like when you wash and block it, it does get a little bit of that nice halo, which I'm kind of hoping for. If not, I may hold it double with a mohair or a surrey to give it a little bit more fluffiness that I think is going to go well with that design. So this pattern has not been released. As I said, she is currently testing it. And so this is something that's gonna wait for a little bit until the final pattern is actually released, but I already have the yarn for it, and I think it's gonna be really cute. I was really going back and forth on the color. So this color is Stone, I wanna say. I wanted something really super neutral. And so they had a natural, but I actually have a couple of sweater quantities already in my stash of very light colored yarns. I have this, which is Altiplano, from Knit Picks. This, which is Lion Band Fisherman's Wool. So I didn't want another like white cream sweater quantity. So I decided to go with a gray, which I thought would be nice and neutral, still light enough to show off the stitch pattern. So that is what that is for. And then the last little bit of yarn I have is some lovely yarn provided by Hobby. Some people say Hobby. I don't know. It just looks like hobby to me. But I don't speak Danish, so I have no idea. Lovely yarn from Hobby Yarns. And this is going to make a lovely hat, which I should probably get started on very soon. This is their upcycled alpaca blend. I had actually signed up to test out this yarn maybe even over the summer, and it just never arrived. It got lost somewhere. The tracking said it had been delivered, and it had been delivered like in New York or something. Like, I don't live in New York. Apparently it didn't occur to USPS that was not where it was supposed to be. Anyway, so I never did get to try it, but now I have it, and this is 34% acrylic, 33% alpaca, 33% wool. Overall, I am not a big acrylic fan, but a little bit of it blended in with some more natural fibers I'm generally okay with. Not really for a sweater, but okay for a hat. So this and this, which is their kid silk, and I have used before, and it is lovely. I think this is going to be a nice combo. So their kid silk is 72% mohair, 25% silk, 3% wool. So I'm going to pair these together in a lovely hat pattern of some kind that I have major concepts of, but the concept of a plan. So I will be bringing these two lovely yarns together in a hat. Will it be a pattern? I don't know. It will definitely be an original creation. That's going to fall on your head, and then you're going to be really sad. It's like having a toddler all over again. I don't know if this will just be a personal creation for me. Maybe I'll make a pattern out of it. We shall see. But I really think these colors are going to be cute together. And I am really interested in trying this upcycled alpaca. Reusing fibers, always good. There's just so much fiber and textile waste in the world. So if we can start finding a way to reuse some of that, I think that's a good thing. So lovely yarns from Hobby, whatever the case may be, for a hat that hopefully I'll be sharing more about soon. Alright guys, that is everything I have to share with you today. I did not go to Rhinebeck this year. I apparently have not been to Rhinebeck in 5 years, and I'm really sad about it. Of course, for, you know, several of those were COVID. Nobody was going to Rhinebeck. I am hoping to go next year. So I told my husband, we went up to Shenandoah this year and it was lovely, but it's no Rhinebeck. So I already told him next year we're going to Rhinebeck. Actually, I'm pretty sure what I said was next year I am going to Rhinebeck. I don't know. You want to come, great. But if not, I'm going without you. The kids also enjoy it. So no Rhinebeck, no yarn shopping there, none of that to share. I hope everyone who did go had a lovely time. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Links to every pattern, yarn, etc. that I've talked about are going to be in the description box down below. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New knitting related videos here every Saturday. If you're looking for me on social media, I know, but you're being bad. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Media Peruana, and I will see you soon in another video.